Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Just Put Paint on It, your every Thursday and Friday hobby variety show where we sit down with amazing co-hosts, even more amazing guests, and we sometimes just put paint on it, which is where the name of the show comes from. This is, I am Skari, and today I am working on some racks for my Dark Eldar army, because nobody can have any more racks than they need, so I thought I'd rack up their number. Too many. I think.
Thanks, Dad.
You're welcome.
Ew.
Happy Friday, everyone. I hope you're having a good time. And I hope you stick around and listen to it. We've got a fantastic, awesome person on the show today. And we'll get to you in a second, Lionel. But introducing my wonderful co-host, Tanya Gates. Tanya. Hey, Tanya. What's going on?
Hey.
Who are you, and where can people find you? And your Patreon went live. I didn't get to show that off. But your Patreon went live on Sunday, right? So,
yes.
Awesome. I'm so excited you finally jumped the gun and decided to be a real content creator and make Patreon. No.
I'm a real content creator.
That's like the badge. That's like the gatekeeping badge of honor right there. Anyway, just want to say welcome, Tanya, and I hope you're having a good day. And tell us a little bit more about you and who you are.
All right. I'm Tanya, and now I play Age of Sigmar instead of Warhammer 40k. Suck it, 40k.
Lionel's gonna love that, by the way, because
I like 40k a lot, but yeah.
Yeah. And so you can find me on my Patreon. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Forge the Narrative podcast, where I still talk about 40k, but I try my best to make them switch to AOS. You can also find me on like Facebook and Twitter and stuff, but I don't post as much there. I'm forgetting something.
You're awesome, and you roll dice.
I am. And and the YouTube channel is also back up and running. So the latest episode of Be Nice Roll Dice is live with Val Heffelfinger, where he also talks about how he's not playing Warhammer 40k right now.
Simon, he's actually gone straight like fantasy. Like he's literally just like turned to the fantasy.
Yeah,
straight.
I might try my hand at a game
to
see.
What was that?
He tried to drag me in on his Warhammer Fantasy binge, and I was just like, I don't want to play with square bases, buddy.
Yeah.
It is very nostalgic, that's for sure. Very nostalgic.
And, also exciting, I got my counts as models for my Noblars approved from the TO for the event in June yesterday. Don't forget to do that, everybody. Talk to your TOs.
Always. I love it.
So now I'm going to continue painting them.
Noblars?
Noblars.
That's right. Can't go wrong with some Noblars. They're not, good to eat, but they are pretty handy on the tabletop.
They're not great at much, but they take up space.
They do. Positioning is amazing. Okay. That is awesome, Tanya. Thanks for coming on, and I hope you had a good day off yesterday. And
thank you.
All that good stuff. So, introducing a wonderful co-host, a friend of the show, a person who I've known for quite a few years now, since my involvement with the Tabletop Gaming Expo many years ago now. How many years ago? Like 7 years ago now? 6 years ago now? Like, it's a long... Considering we've been in COVID for 2 years, or almost 3 years.
Yeah.
Mr. Lionel, also the owner of X Planet Games in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada, where I have a standing reservation to play a game every month. And with my brother, we just were there 2 days ago, and we played some fun games. Great tables, great events. I'm going to an RTT there tomorrow, which I'm really excited about. Hello, Lionel. Tell us about who you are, and how did you get into this wonderful hobby? Because you've been in the hobby a long time.
Oh, geez, that's a big question, man. Getting into the hobby was, I guess my portal was RPGs back when I was a kid. Actually, in fact, I bought Rogue Trader thinking it was a role-playing game, brought it home, and I'm like, this is not a role-playing game. I actually still have my Rogue Trader book, which is actually pretty cool. It's a soft cover. It's almost like a file, really, than a book now. But glue bindings, they sucked back in the day. Well, they suck, period, anyway. Doesn't matter what day. So yeah, I got into it real early, really. I was around 13, 14 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. Minis are cool.
Minis are cool. Didn't you? And right now, you mainly run the store in Mississauga. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll be putting a link up to the Facebook and Instagram page down below, so make sure you go over and check them out. And you've been like, if anything would describe you, Lionel, I'd say you're a community builder.
Yeah, the one thing I love most about what I do, more than the minis and everything else, is the people. I really just love the people who play it. I love all the loud nerds, the jock nerds. I love the nerds. I love the ladies that are dipping their toe into it. I'm a big proponent of safe spaces, meaning I'm not talking about, generally speaking, sexual preference or anything like that. I'm just talking about being who you are in my store. You can be comfortable in my store. And if someone, steps across that line and is obnoxious, I have a conversation with them. When you come into my shop, it's generally speaking, the overall is that people love the vibe of it. I love people being happy. I love events. That's pretty much it.
That's fantastic. And I feel like whenever I go and play at the store, you've got good terrain, you got good people. There's always like people doing like anything from playing role play games to Magic to like 40K to AOS. Like you kind of like support a whole variety of hobbies, which is also really, really neat, and I really like that a lot.
It is cool. It's not every game is the same. Of course, they all got their nuances. I big fan of Magic as well. Love EDH. Love playing the multiplayer that multiplayer experience. It's always lots and lots of fun.
That makes sense. Now you worked for Games Workshop, didn't you, back in the day?
I did. Yes, I almost 13 years actually. Worked in pretty much every sales department. As you probably could gather, I'm not horrible at sales. I don't mind talking to people, and the two combined really well. Generally speaking, I have very, very fond memories of the company, of the people that work for it. I mean, was it perfect? No, but no job is. Real shame when they closed up operations in Canada, because we've just never really had the same attention. Guys in the U.S., we'll manage Canada from Memphis, but they typically focus on their within their borders, right? So Canada doesn't exactly get the attention that we would love to get. But the upside, I guess, is independents fill the spaces.
Yeah, it makes sense. There's still a couple of GW stores in and around Canada and the GTA, but it's funny because you're part of like I want to say a group of like the old guard, if that makes sense. Where like, a lot of you came up working in like the GWs and the stores that were in Canada back in the day, and you were like, you really helped shape a lot of the like community that sort of like is the foundation of, like who plays and where we play now, and like a lot of the expectations of hobby and stuff that we have in the community, and the camaraderie and sportsmanship come from like those initial stages, like you and Ash, right? Like Ash was like one of the managers at the bunker, I think. from Guerrilla Miniature War Games. And
there was
and there's a whole bunch of you, like, and you still all kind of like play and organize and get together and a whole variety of things.
Yeah, we're all nerds, so that hasn't changed. We don't get older than, get cool. We just become cool nerds. So there's Ashley. He's out in I think he's in Welland, if I'm not mistaken.
He's in St. Kitts, I believe.
Yeah. And then there's Jason and Chris at Lords of War. Then there's Jason at Black Knight.
Yeah.
Then, I'm sure I'm missing someone that, they're all, whether they own a store, have a channel or not, they all still play. Like I bump into them all the time. And what's really cool, because I've been in the hobby for so long, so many of my other people I knew them when they were like kids. And it's hard for me sometimes I still call them kids. Even though they're not kids, they're married, have their own kids.
Oh, how times change and people grow, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's really cool. Misadventures Mr. Gotti says, Happy flippin' Friday. Jared says,
Mr. Fish.
Mr. Fish. Proud War Mistress patron, #, says Jared. Excellent. Zantiati says, it's Friday. Gotta get down on a Friday. You know what? It's exciting. Good times.
So, Age of Sigmar. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Why did I wait so long to go back?
Well, you know why? Because they were probably launched the game the worst possible way they could have.
Oh no.
That's saying something.
Yeah, I don't know if there was a product launch in the history of mankind that was launched worse than Age of Sigmar.
I played Age of Sigmar 1, like the first edition, but when there was a General's Handbook.
When there was a General's Handbook?
Yeah.
Okay, so there was darker days than that?
Yeah. No, my husband played in those dark days. I did not.
Before the General's Handbook. And the gentleman... So a lot of people were wondering why in the heck Age of Sigmar, why did Warhammer go away? But when the company was at a crossroads, really. They were putting enormous amount of effort into a product line that they really just netted very, very small returns on. If you were to put 100% effort and got 200% effort back, that was 40K, right? Or more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whereas for your 100% effort in Warhammer, you got 10% back.
Right.
Because there was a real moment in Warhammer was just a very, very minuscule amount. It had shrunk to a moment where the company was, and I don't know all the details of it, and I am gap filling, but there was a moment where the company was just like, okay, well, do we get rid of this game? And it's a real shame. Historically speaking, the company started with Warhammer, and when people call a game Warhammer, I immediately think of fantasy. I don't think of 40K. I call 40K 40K. They decided that they were going to restart the whole entire game, kick it off and refresh it, because it couldn't get any worse. It really couldn't. 10% of sales. That was nothing. So they started releasing the End Time books, and then the End Time books, crazily enough, resuscitated the game.
Oh no!
And but the problem was all the books and direction, everything else it was done. But during the release of the End Times, sales doubled. Now we're not talking, a huge amount numbers wise, but you're going from 10% to 20%. It was trending up.
Right.
And then that was the days of the Spanish rumors. I don't know if you remember those days. People were going, it was just starting to trickle in the second book that the game was about to go away. And people were like, no, that could possibly happen. The game's just making a comeback. And of course,
Little
it
did
did.
we know, they just decided to pull the plug.
Yeah, they exploded.
Yep.
And then they started trickling out the game. But the gentleman that was in charge of the project was in a bit of an echo chamber. What I mean by that is he was saying, I think this is a really good idea. And all the yes men around him was just saying it was a good idea. So he went with it. They released a document for AOS with no context whatsoever. So no points, no context, just said, these are the new rules. And those included twirling of mustaches to unlock rules, holding up a goblet to unlock rules,
not kneeling so that you
your
don't
head
lose.
above your stomach.
Cetra never kneels.
Oh, yeah. The thing is, when people saw that, because people were so looking forward to the game, when people saw that, they were like going, is this for real? And they didn't have another answer, right?
Yeah.
They just saw that and like, this is the new game? This is the joke? It was terrible. It was meant to be humorous, but without context. Terrible.
Yeah.
And then the game released. So, sorry, say it again?
Said they made the game explode. Thankfully we are a resilient community and we shouldn't have to, but every time like the game goes for a nosedive, like it's the community that really sort of like goes, no, we're not letting this game die. We enjoy it. Then we make our own rules. And we go, we're capable enough as a community to make whatever we want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So anyway, that whole entire thing kind of rubbed a whole whackload of people the wrong way.
Yeah.
Divided the community from round basers to square basers. And that's where we're at right now. Where the round basers have gained a lot of ground. Because the game is really, really quite awesome. I love the subtleties of the game, and mostly the priority roll. I absolutely adore that mechanic.
I know, which is also a divisive topic.
It is. It is a divisive topic.
For anybody, for anybody who doesn't know or doesn't play Age of Sigmar, the priority roll is essentially a roll that happens at the beginning of each battle round. You and your opponent roll off, and the winner chooses to take their turn or cede their turn to the opponent. That does mean that you could have just had a battle round where you went second, and then immediately take a priority roll and have another turn before your opponent gets to take their turn, which in and of itself just changes the dynamic of the game quite a lot.
Yes. And it's that dynamic that I'm absolutely in love with.
I also like how reactionary it feels when it's not your turn. Like, it never feels like if your opponent does something, there's like nothing you can do about it. You know what I mean?
You're talking about 40k now.
40k, I feel like sometimes there's just nothing you can do. If you go second on the first turn, sometimes you're like, okay, this is happening, you know? But in Age of Sigmar, I don't know. It doesn't feel as... I don't know. I never feel like there's nothing that I can do.
Well, the priority roll is where the magic is at, that's for sure. Because once you look past the surface of the double turn, so meaning it's like, well, that sounds absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to have to take 2 turns before my opponent does. And on the surface, it sounds ridiculous. But once you actually start playing, you get over it. And you're like going, okay, what do I do to compensate for that? That's where the game starts going really super magical. Positioning in the game, understanding that you don't know who's going to go next. You need to either take risks and accept those risks. And there's moments in the game, especially in the late game, when you've already burnt through most of your resources. You're going to have to just play for a Hail Mary pass, so to speak. But in the early stages of the game, you can position where if the guy double turns you, or gal for that matter, double turns you, you are not going to get punished.
Yeah.
And in fact, there's moments where you want to give the turn. Why? Because you've already had a turn and maybe you have a series of buffs already active in your army. And if you don't have a turn, those buffs don't come down. And if you've already positioned appropriately on scoring, you can now control the actions of your opponent on his own turn while being buffed. And that is all about planning ahead. And it's just, I just absolutely love it. If there was ever a mechanic that wanted to put things on display, skill of a player on display, mitigating the priority roll is the mechanic that displays that. Like you want to talk about skill, that's it. Now, this mechanic can't be used in every game. It can't. It cannot be used in 40K. The power projection is far too punishing. And I'm not implying because AOS has this mechanic and 40K does not, the AOS is superior. That is not what I'm implying. What I'm implying is the fact that AOS has this mechanic, it allows me to express myself. And actually, I'm able to play my opponent, which is a whole other unique. I have this thing where it's like where rules transcend. So chess, very simple game, but the rules to chess transcend. Like you could do really creative things with it, and that's what I love about it.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you, Tanya, as well. You know, like when you're playing the game, and you know your opponent is taking their turn. You know, there's so many reactionary things you can do in their turn that it definitely feels like you can do stuff, right? Even if it's their turn and it's not your turn. Like one of the coolest mechanics of Age of Sigmar that I love is that redeploy mechanic. You know, being able to wait until your opponent moves close to you or around you and then grab a unit and sort of like move it somewhere and either put it in the way of something to like get annoying or put it on an objective to make your opponent's ability to score points harder or to even simply just like move away to like make them have to make a longer charge with a certain unit so that they don't like your unit doesn't just get nuked. I think that's massively, I love it. I love having that agency, like Tanya said. Like it doesn't feel like you just can't do anything in a turn, and I think that's really cool.
And a fine example of what I was talking about as well, because a redeploy on the surface, you would initially look at, I'm going to always use that to extend charges. But actually, if you run the turn before and you don't get on an objective, that guy or that player now has to be careful not to get within 9 inches of that unit because you could actually now redeploy onto the objective.
Yeah.
And start now contesting or scoring and denying him that score. It's huge, and that could actually hinge on a battle tactic as well. Because in an AOS, you have to pick a battle tactic at the beginning of every round, and part of those battle tactics are taking over objectives. And if you're not fully conscious of all the rules and the redeployments or how creatively players can manipulate those rules, you could lose games based on that.
Yeah. Nick Xanthiadi says it's like the round bases are running circles around the squares. Right, Tanya? Is that another joke that you love, or is that face just no jokes? Yeah, too early for Tanya to have all the silly puns. You know, I tried really hard to come up with a pun name for the Discord channel for the puns, which
you saw that?
I did. I've been literally thinking for like 2 days straight. I want to like come up with the best pun name for a Discord channel about puns. So I'll take suggestions, everyone, because I want Tanya's Discord to have a pun channel that is a punny name as well.
It's a punny name, isn't that a pun?
Yeah, that was the stipulation. They could have the channel if they could name it something that was a pun.
Correct. So challenge accepted, Tanya. It will come to me, and it'll be brilliant, and it will be amazing. And you will have to use it, and I will feel like I have contributed to the to your Discord community in just a little way that'll remind you of me every time you look at that channel. and it'll be awesome.
I'll like scroll down through the channels and go, keep scrolling.
I just know you'll roll your eyes every morning when you see that everyone has been putting so many puns in there, or you'll just mute the channel and like never look at it ever.
You guys will just ping me in it all the time.
Yeah, it's exactly how that works. So, so Lionel, how long have you had your store for? Like as a store owner and stuff. Like what how long did you kind of like what inspired you to kind of start your game store? For anybody out there who's curious.
That's two questions, right? So how long has the store been kicking around? Slightly tragic. I made my 10-year anniversary in March, right at the start of COVID.
Oh no!
Oh,
that's been 10 years in business. Are you gonna do like a repeat, like 10?
Well, no, now it's been 12 years.
Yeah. 2 years later.
Yeah. You were saying, sorry?
I said you should have like a little 12-year celebration then.
Yeah, it was supposed to be the 10-year, and I was gonna, I had plans on getting the shirts with the Roman numeral, because that's actually what X Planet is. It's funny enough, it's actually 10th Planet. I don't correct anyone, of course, because it doesn't really matter, but it's actually 10th Planet. Nice. So it was gonna be a play on words with the shirt with the whole 10, and people were hopefully gonna get the connection. I thought it was gonna be funny. But it never happened. So I guess I could do a 12-year, or I can wait for 20. And then the absolutely mystical 30-year with Triple X Planet. I think that would be...
we have to make that happen. It'll be good. Scatter the Wind says, nice to see Lionel. Kyle, hey Kyle, what's going on? Great to see 3 beautiful people, says Sam. Excited for your tournament tomorrow, Lionel.
Yeah. Oh, that's Sammy. Yeah, Sammy's a good player.
I'm playing the jokes is what I'm bringing. I'm bringing the jokes, and I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to roll some dice. I've been practicing really hard for all these team events, and every once in a while you just need a, decompression tournament, and that's exactly what tomorrow's going to be.
I'm going to tell you, team is just like the best way to play any miniature game. Oh, man, I freaking love teams, man. I love teams.
Everybody keeps saying that, but, I don't know. I think that you have to be, a certain level before people, invite you onto your team. That's what I think.
Is for the AOS side, Jord, actually, from Season of War, Jord Duncan, did an amazing job organizing and try to make it as accessible as possible. He went a long way to opening up the communities across the country. Each country or each province has a representative that's basically part of the council that's plugged into their various communities, and they weigh in on all the people that apply. This year was very much dominated by Ontario entries, but I think it has amazing potential to unlock as people get more and more comfortable with it, to unlock all the other provinces. Because you can just apply. It's not necessarily just about winning the game. It's about, who you are as a person in the community. So go out to events. Be the magnificent people that you all are. The vast majority of you are, actually, I should say.
I do find when going to a tournament, like team events, a lot of the times, some teams are mainly just a hodgepodge of people who wanted to make a team. And they just, especially if it's their first team ever, they just kind of literally, because they live in a place where they don't have a team, or there's not a lot of players, or there's players that go and are really serious or whatever, and they just want to go have fun, they'll just scrounge up a team from all the different people who didn't find a team, and they make a team of rejects or whatever, and they'll go, And then they have fun, and then once they see that it's like so much fun, they either keep that team or kind of like experience it and see if it's for them and stuff. There's lots of different ways to do it. Is TGX doing a AOS team event as well as a 40K one, or is it just 40K?
We have not announced it yet, but yes, the answer is yes.
Cool.
It's just the reason why we haven't really announced it yet. We're being very tentative about it, and that's mostly because of COVID. Put in perspective, the hotel didn't even take a deposit because of the potential next wave. No one wants to hear that, I'm sure. And I don't want to be a bearer of bad news, folks, but it's out there still. COVID did not get the memo. And so as we get closer, we will of course talk about it. And hopefully we'll get a whole whack load of people coming out. We're capping this year's 40K event at 16 teams. Yeah. We could put more in the hall, but this wasn't really about, doing events is not how I make money.
Yep.
It's just an incredibly stressful thing. It's like, think of a house party and you hope everyone's having a good time. That's basically what running events is.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole premise of TGX was there was nothing locally happening at the time. And we just wanted something happening. And we pivoted over to teams because there wasn't enough team events coming out. And hopefully it inspires people to go and apply for the world's teams.
Yep.
And there you go.
Yeah, well, you've been doing a lot of work with the Canadian WTC AOS team, right?
Yeah. The guys that were on it are absolutely amazing guys. Really just tremendous people, good players, but more importantly, super honest players. Yeah. Like very, very clean, generally speaking. I didn't feel comfortable this year going to Europe due to the whole conflict that's happening in the Ukraine and how that could potentially spill over. I need to be home when I need to be home. I got a family, I got a business, I got kids. And if something was to go sideways while I was there, that would have been terrible.
Yep. No, totally understand as well. Mr. Fish says, what about the Punder Wool? I need to get the chat bot set up so that we can have a Tanya bot again. Oh boy, that would be so good. Do you see how happy this makes me, Tanya? It makes me so happy.
Love you too, buddy.
And that's the only reason why I still have a head on my shoulders. If not, I would have no head on my shoulders because I would have been relieved of my brain.
Slap you silly!
Oh boy.
I don't condone domestic violence, people.
Of course. No. It would just have to make sure it's not in the house. Then it's not domestic. In the sense that you could slap me in a park and it would be public violence. We don't condone that either. Just for the algorithm to be sure. We do not condone any sorts of violence here on SkaredCast stream. Thank you.
I'm going to clip that.
Yeah? Nice. Please clip it. Only when we go back to the Dark City do things get dark. Viva Portugal, says Diogo Pita. What's going on, Diogo? Yoshi in the chat. This weekend we got the Dallas Open, which is like a big 40K event that's happening in Dallas. I would assume with that name. I hope it's in Dallas. But it is a 40K. It's one of the first events that has like full-blown balance slate update under like I don't say advisement, but it's that's going to be affecting everybody. So I'm really curious to see what happens. To be honest, I can't wait to see if Tyranids really just destroy everyone, or if Eldar just destroys everyone. So be a good time. Maybe
Tyranids are gross.
What's our hate?
Tyranids are gross.
Tyranids are pretty filthy. I'm really looking forward to testing out how that feels this weekend. Another reason why I love like chill test events is I can test my concepts into silly things, and I don't really care about like winning or losing. But I put a lot of information in my brain bank, and then it goes to like into the list building process for next time. Because I love building lists. I love like thinking about lists, building stuff into lists. It's just entertaining to me.
It's actually one of the coolest things about 40K.
Yeah. In AOS, I think it's like building your list is a lot simpler than in 40K, but it's more about like how you use the list you built on the table. Whereas in 40K, like your list has, I think, more of an impact than.
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
Huge. I never really got how people got excited about a 1 point increase or decrease, but having played the game a lot more recently, because I'm a little out of date. I do have 40K armies, folks. I do love the 40K universe, and more importantly, I absolutely adore the local 40K community. But but man, yeah, those 1-2 point difference really make a big difference.
Paul Radcliffe says it's Lionel, the man, the legend. Yeah, that's right. Thanks for coming to hang out, Paul.
Hey, Paul.
I believe you'll be there tomorrow as well, I would hope.
Yeah, Paul will be there.
Nice.
The Insane Clown Posse.
He just posted a picture of the new Demon Prince in the Discord that he that he just finished up, and I love Paul's conversions so much. They are so cool.
Paul is outrageous, unapologetic, in your face.
Yeah,
so awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
it'll be a good time. Okay, so all of these guys have arms. Excellent. They can be part of the army now.
Oh, God!
What's that?
They have arms, so they can be part of the army.
Oh, gosh. Is this a competition? Is this the insert the puns? Is that it?
It's just something that tends to happen a lot when I'm on camera. It's the nerves come out in the form of amazing jokes.
Amazing. Yeah.
That's exactly how I think of them.
I've decided not to go to Seattle because my puppy, I think he just needs like a few more months of training before I feel like confident leaving him at my mom's place. But Alex sent me a message and he's like, look, if you don't want to play guard, I have like a fully functioning NID army for you. And I was like, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy.
It's like murdering everyone with Tyranids.
Yeah. He's basically like, you don't even have to think about it.
How far can I push crayons up my nose? Let's go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Greenblood Crusade says, good to see all the lovely faces. Good day. Hey, Greenblood, how's it going? Thanks for coming to hang out. Pun or pun not, for it's too dry. Diogo says, you can blame Lionel for me wanting to do 30 Wraith Blades. Yeah, I think that 30 Wraith Blades would be fun. Just like put a bunch of very tough bodies on the table and just watch your opponent have like a mini heart attack. And
Diego, another guy from the GW days.
Yeah, he was also one of the moles, right? One of the mole ones. So
yeah, he was in the Vaughn store.
Pretty exciting times. It's like such a tightly knit community, especially down in the GTA. It's like so many people.
Yeah.
I did send you regards from Jeremy. I guess he was part of your community for a while before he went up to.
Jeremy Atkinson. He's is he now on the world team, or at least the support?
He's the coach. He's our coach.
You couldn't ask for a better person to be a coach. I love that guy. Jeremy, miss you tons, buddy. Our loss was Ottawa's gain. Great guy.
There you go. It's big money, big money. I should leave these not with guns on them. 1, 2. I need 3 without guns. And then...
What?
So, Francois, who is in... I have this suspicious feeling that the Canadian team might want me to play a lot of racks. And I'm trying to mentally and physically prepare myself for this endeavor of moving like 160 racks around the table every single game. So I reached out to Francois in Ottawa, who lent his racks, because he owns 120 built, painted, and based racks.
Wow.
To Devon, to Tim Deatlis for this weekend. At the Canhammer team tournament, and he had a great time playing. He only used 108 of them, and so I messaged Francois, and I was like, "Hey, I might need these racks. Can you ship them to me, please, so I can at least play some events with this like mind-numbingly dumb army?" And
are you bringing that tomorrow?
No, God, no.
Oh,
No. I said tomorrow is a reset tournament for me where I'm going to play fun things like Void Raven Bombers and Pirates and like Reaver jet bikes and things that I don't get to play very often at a competitive, like high competitive level before I literally decide to shut my brain off and play something really silly like 160 racks or whatever. But there's a couple of tournaments coming up that I will be running these as soon as I get them. And he has a lot of the extra guns, and I want to make sure I have a couple of gun options that I can fit in and out. So for that, I am going to keep, I think, these plastic ones without guns, just so I can glue the guns he's going to send to me on them, essentially. So that was my thought process. Whew. Crazy. Have you ever had to play something that was mind-numbing, either of you, that you were like, I don't want to play this anymore, even though it's supposed to be good?
Custodes.
Just in general?
Yeah.
There's something to Custodes. Well,
yeah,
honestly, like, the hardest part about playing Custodes for me was, like, seeing people come to the table like just utterly dejected, and like even though I'm telling them like no, this is not an optimized list, this is not like the tournament lists, this is just like it's Highlander basically. And like having to try to convince them that it will be a good game and it'll be fine, and I was just like I don't want to do this anymore. Right. So I would rather play guard and get tabled on turn 3 every game than play an overpowered army like that again.
Yeah, I have a tendency to play meta lists typically. So something that battles against big boys, or at least I try. My beast list for my Nurgle was that. Everyone arrived at the same conclusion in their own way, especially the Nurgle players. But I mean, yeah, it plays really well into the shooting armies that were playing the game at the time. I just went to an event in Quebec actually over this past weekend. Not a lot of shooting armies, so I played against other high output machine knife fighters, and that made for a really, really interesting game actually.
Nice.
So yeah, I don't have a tendency to play too many brain turn off armies. I mean, the reason why I love AOS is all the interactions and decision points, and yeah.
No, it makes sense. Do you find yourself usually like gravitating towards like more technical moving piece armies, or do you like armies that are like stick to like a specific concept and then sort of like double down on that concept?
I'm a big fan of movement. Not really groundbreaking. Movement wins games in miniatures, especially objective-based games.
Yeah.
And any moment where the deciding factor is the way I use the piece and not the dice I roll is extremely satisfying. Like that's awesome. Yeah, typically it's those style armies. I mean, I have some shooting armies I've experimented with. Sorry, in AOS. I apologize. Sorry, in AOS. But I don't really take them out to. They're not my regular armies, and I certainly don't take them out to multiple events. I don't know. I just find the shooting to be extremely forgiving, positionally. You make a mistake, you could still reach out and touch someone. It's true in 40K as well. But at least 40K, you have a table of scenery to block lines of sight. In AOS, it's open fields more or less. You can fire into combat. It's not. There's no escaping shooting in AOS.
Yeah. Yeah, I do find that. I do find that a lot as well. I also love movement stuff, but of late I've been building a lot of armies that fill into this whole law of nines system that I've kind of used for many years. And
law of nines. Ooh, I have a law of 3.
Nice.
And I think we're probably in the same boat.
Interesting. Okay, you go first. What's this law of 3 when building lists?
All right, rule of 3, folks. When you're building your 40K army specifically, have something that eliminates infantry at a distance. Have your anti-infantry. Have something that eliminates tanks at a distance. And then have the ability to twist off heads.
A.k.a. close combat.
Close combat. In
Right.
each one of those 3, have 3 things that do each. So a built-in redundancy. So have 3 things or more that eliminate infantry at a distance. Have 3 things or more that eliminate tanks at a distance. Have 3 things or more that of course twist off heads. And in elite armies, you can have those roles covered by the same unit, running risks of when you lose that unit, it has greater impact on your overall output. But that happens to be 9, actually, weirdly enough, Mr. Man. So what is yours?
Okay, so the law of nines is, well, not mine specifically. My dad came up with it. I talk about it all the time. But it's essentially a list building technique that he developed for 4th edition 40K, back when there was a single force organization slot. Right? You'll remember the single force organization slot, right?
Single force, or you mean
the force org slot, the 1 HQ, 2 HQs, 2 troops, up to 6. Yeah, exactly. You remember that, right? Okay. So it's based around that, and it was now it's a little bit more convoluted now because of the fact that aircraft got added into the game and they're their own slot, and dedicated transports became their own slot. So you kind of liberally have to sort of switch it a little bit to make it work. However, it's as such. You divide the total number of points of the game into 9 equal segments. So, in a 2,000 point game, each segment is about 222 points plus point something, 0.2, I think. And you put one of those segments into each of heavy, elite, fast attack, and HQ, and then you put 4 of those segments into troops. And then you have one floating segment that you can then put into any force org slot that you'd like to double down on, depending on the style of the army that you're building.
Whoa, this is next level here.
Yeah. And so it does 2 things. One, it forces you to make sacrifices when you build a list, because you don't want to upgrade a bunch of stuff, right? And so, especially when it comes to HQ slots, I find that most people have a hard time limiting their HQs if they usually take 400 points in HQs or whatever, right? Or they want to take their 200 point character and then 150 point character or something. Whereas it's very much designed to force you to not do that, so that you have tools to play the mission and play the game more effectively.
Interesting.
Yeah. And most of my tournament lists follow that system pretty. Sometimes a little more loosely than others, but the framework starts with that for sure.
That's interesting. It seems like we arrive roughly at the same conclusion, but that's a different. That's definitely a different take on it. Holy cow!
AK, have a balanced list, and don't spend too much on toys.
As a shop owner, disregard. Spend as much as you want.
Buy all of the toys.
All the toys. All the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which makes sense as well. So, Tanya, how are those Noblars coming along?
I mean, I'm having a lot of fun painting them, but like for the past 2 weeks, I haven't really been doing a lot of paintings. I've been trying to get my Patreon going. I've been doing a lot of recording. But like I painted one layer on one dude. So it's going all right. I just got like 16 more to go. Oh, no big deal.
You got
so
this.
Why ogres?
Why ogres? So, they're like my spirit animal.
Okay.
I don't know. They just like vibe with me, and I kind of see myself in them. They're like angry and hungry and always cold and same. So, and they have pets. I also like pets. And they're just completely different to like my main 40k army. They play completely different, and I like the aesthetic of them. And they're not easy to play. Like they are in a way because they don't have a lot of like the extra rules that some of the other factions have because they don't have an updated book. But because they're so elite, you really feel the losses. Like if once you lose a unit, you're like, whew, that feels bad, so and like so I've been doing like pretty good in my local area. Like we're all sort of like sitting down and learning 3rd edition together, and I've been doing really well with them. And a few of the players are like, "Oh, Tanya's army is OP," and all of this stuff. And I was like, "Well, actually, it's actually not that easy to play, right? Because you have to really make sure that you're like screening your damage dealing units because a lot of the stuff in the book doesn't really do damage. And like I was trying to explain it to them, but they just sort of see it as like Tanya's a whack player."
Are you playing the beasts, the guys with the monster trucks, or are you playing mostly ogres?
In 1,000 points, which is what the tournament that I'm going to is, it's mostly the Beast Claw Raiders. But when I play 2,000 points, it's balanced. So
Right.
it's like some BCR and some gluttons and stuff. So
at 1,000 points, the monster trucks are pretty gross. The game really isn't designed at 1,000 points. It only is really palatable at 1,500, 18, like in between maybe. But 2K is where the game is designed at. So just tell your friends that it'll all balance out once points increases.
Yeah, and I mean just so that they could see. Because when I go play at the store, I don't normally play this like 1,000 point list that I'm bringing to the tournament.
Right.
Also, I don't like. To me, I'm like, why is it 1,000 points? But okay. But like, just so that I could show them, I took like an entire dad bod like ogre list last time at 1,000 points.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh wow, they're not very good." And I was like, "I know." I know they're not very good.
I won a tournament with Blood Gullet once.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of ogres, just generally speaking. Also did fairly well with Underguts, but that's a different dad bod army. Lots of Nobblers in that army as well.
Well, yeah. You got to protect your firing base too, right?
Yeah, you got it. It's it's fun. It's fun. I'm really hoping Ogres gets a glow up in their next book.
I mean, yeah. Like I said, I got Night Haunt coming. Somebody sold me their unpainted collection super cheap, so I get that on Sunday. And I chose that because I was like, I want to paint them like the cover of my favorite metal album.
Nice. Like spooky ghosts, like spooky metal ghosts?
Yeah, so I'm going to paint them all red.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, pretty excited.
I do love the look of those night haunts. They look so cool.
I have no idea how they play. Like, I literally just got this stuff for hobby.
I think they're just spooky. They're just another death army. But they're faster than your average death army, I think. They're like more.
They are.
They're like more tricksy, right? They fly around. They don't get bogged down as easily. Like you can, they're surprisingly durable. So sounds like a fun time.
Would play completely differently than my ogres then.
Oh yes, definitely completely.
Well, maybe I'll give them a try.
Santiago says, "Do you also like giant stew pots?"
I do. I'm so happy with how mine turned out.
Yeah, it looks really good. I love that you went for the Conan the Barbarian stew color.
The freaking green hand soup. Yeah.
Hand soup.
Do you have the man-eater? The female man-eater with the rolling pin?
I got it for
Not
her.
yet.
It's going to be in the mail as soon as I hit the mail place that I have to send a bunch of dice to people. I'm doing it all in one go.
So when that arrived in Canada for the very first time at the head office, I took the opportunity and painted that immediately. And I turned her into my butcher.
Oh, amazing.
So I had
because she's in the kitchen anyway. She's got a rolling pin. She's making meat pies.
Yeah, I love adding ladies to my army. It's too many guys just kind of, throws off the vibe. Having little big bone ladies smashing faces, I also really appreciate.
I appreciate her in particular because I feel like the female representation in the game is very homogenous in body type. They're all kind of like lithe and athletic and all of that. And I just, I love that she is an ogre. Like I can see myself in her, right? And I wish that there was just like more like big ladies, fat ladies, like even really thin ladies. Like I wish that there was just more of that, especially in 40K. I wish there was more of that.
Yeah, my Nurgle army has a lady called Wormspat? Fecula. She's actually,
my husband has her. Yeah,
she is a great model, and because of her base size,
she creeps me out.
She could represent Festus. So she's my Festus in my Nurgle army.
Nice.
Yeah.
What are you laughing at, Riz?
The fact that I don't remember. I thought it was funny because creeps me out. That's what I was laughing at. I was like, that's funny that it creeps you out.
There you go.
She's just yeah.
She's awesome. I love her. My fat bottom girl, man.
Yeah, my Maggotkin is my husband's main army, so that's what I end up fighting against the most.
Those contagions.
He's on these flies right now, so.
Well, they're pretty good.
Pre-game move flies or
probably pus boil.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that a good one?
Yeah. There's a local guy that's won some tournaments that are really adding quite the positive vibe. Mitch. Sorry, Mitch, I don't know your real name, but he anglified it to make it, us regular folk able to pronounce it. But Mitch did Puscoils and has smashed some tournaments recently. And I've noticed since he's really kind of pushed the envelope on that, a lot of people seem to be taking notice and wanting to do Puscoils themselves.
Nice. It's always nice to see when somebody sort of like spearheads a concept and it kind of like, takes a hold in a way, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Santiago says Fecula is super creepy. She's the next model
Yes.
up on deck once I finish the spear guy from her warband.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, yeah, let us know if you're in chat and you're working on anything. Let us know what you're putting paint on. Yeah, what are you putting paint on this week? I've literally just been I've been putting off this fixing my racks for a very, very long time. I feel like if the team's gonna make me sell my soul dearly to I'm dreading it so much. I hope it's terrible. Okay? I hope it's not good, and I hope they don't make me do it. But I know it's not terrible.
You just have to do amazingly well with your fun list. No pressure.
But they won't go for it.
Why?
Because it's like you can't. It'll do well and but it's not consistent enough. Like you need consistency so heavy, especially at the World Championships when you're trying to podium. Like you just can't. You have to make those sacrifices, and it's sad. It's sad, but it's true.
Yeah, for the team.
Yeah, exactly. Mr. Fish says, I finished painting my 2,000 point list last night. Everything left is painting for fun, and that makes me so happy. That's a great feeling, especially when you get to that point where you're like, you know what? Now I'm going to just enjoy this. That's a great feeling. So I'm glad that you're at that stage of your painting, which is awesome.
I can't say that I've back on your dread of playing racks. I can't say that I've ever in wargaming had to do something like that, but in sports I have.
Mm-hmm.
In sports I had to play a position that I did not want to do. So I'm an ogre. I'm big. I'm smashy. I was the head of the defensive line of my roller derby team, right? So I'm the last line of defense. Bitches ain't getting through me. That's what I do, right? I skate backwards the entire time, and I catch the jammers on me, and that's what I do because I take up 2 lanes, big. And then so my coach came to me one game. We were losing, and he came to me in one game, and he was like, I need you to jam, which is the skate fast, skate hard, get the points position.
That's very different.
It's very different. And I was terrified, and I had been dreading this moment because coach had been threatening me in practice all season. He's like, I'm gonna put you in one, and I said, you better fucking not. But he did, and so I did it, and it was actually kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie, because their blockers were kind of small, so it was actually just kind of fun to just push them out of the way to get points instead of having to be fast to move around people. And is it something I want to do all the time? No. But did I learn a lot? Yes. Would I still dread it if I was playing today and he asked me to do it? Yes. But I did learn a lot.
So you're saying I should just suck it up?
Yeah.
Excellent.
But you can look at maybe there's a lesson in it.
Oh, there will be a lesson. AKA, I don't need to enjoy this game that I have played for so long. And as long as the team wins, then we all win inside. No, I understand. It would be a learning thing for me to play with something that is very a lot slower than what I'm used to and a lot more monotonous. I think that will probably be the biggest thing I would take from it. Would be having to learn a different pace of the game and having to sort of position not as lax as I normally do, because all my stuff wouldn't fly and things like that, which I think would be a big difference just in game.
You actually have to be more on the ball.
Yeah.
You
I'd have to be more focused.
Several turns ahead.
Exactly. Yeah. Right, because especially if I'm on foot, right? Like you have a certain amount of distance you can move, and that's it, you know. And I think that would have a huge impact on how I need to play the game and how I would want to play the game. Which, so you know, I'm all game for learning. So bring it, Team Canada, bring it.
Is there anything that you could do that could make it more enjoyable for you?
Yes. It would be like a warlord trait or a relic or something that I would literally put in just for me. and then I would try and like make it work every time. Just for me. Yeah. So I would literally just put it in there, and it'd be my like little counter charge, like secret tech play or something, and that would be just something that I've done for me. Yeah. And I would have a lot of fun.
I like it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's literally how I feel. I would survive the ordeal. Would be by making it my own. I'm pretty sure everybody, you know, if you're listening to this, you've felt the same way. Like, I need to make it my own somehow.
Oh yeah. Speaking of which, you know what I'm working on?
Thousand Suns?
My dad.
I am working on an incarnate.
Oh. The incarnate of Gur.
My own version of it.
Yeah. I know, you put the big skull on it. Oh, it looks so cool.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. That skull comes in the kit, right?
So the skull comes in the kit, and what I did was I added the rib cage as well. That's not part of. Well, it's part of the kit, but it's. I just incorporated it into the swirl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks so much better now.
I really, really dig it, and I'm going to try and get it done for next week. Maybe we'll have it on the channel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Kyle says in the chat, I've always favored, I'm assuming that's what you meant to say, meta lists with a bit of personal spice. Oh no, I've always flavored. There you go, you didn't mean to say that. Meta lists with a bit of personal spice. You kind of need to. Like when somebody takes a meta list, see how I'm using quotations? Meta list. From the internets and puts it on the table, they tend to do better with it if they turn it into their own by putting like rando things into the list. Mm-hmm. And they tend to like vibe better with it, just in general, I have found in my years of playing the game.
I have yet to do well with the meta list.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't understand how they work.
That happens. Should I repaint all of my racks?
I mean, all of it? How many is all?
30. I need to.
What do they look like now?
Well, look, they need a repaint. No, I'm thinking more because of the colors. Like, I've been using the teals and the jades, right? Like, to kind of tie my whole army together. I'm thinking that their robes need to be that jade color or that jade color or that pink color. I think I'm going to do the jade color and then pink on all of the, like, the little, like, vials and stuff like that. And just to tie them into my list so that they look like new aged, basically. Anyway, don't mind me. I'm just thinking out loud.
So it's not like a complete repaint.
No, like the skin, I don't really need to.
It's not like you're gonna do the skin and stuff.
I need to redo all the brown bits, like the like, you know what I mean, the weapons and stuff. But it's mainly just to like visually make it like connect with the rest of the army again. Yeah, that's my process.
I like
was just thinking out loud. Jeff Brown says, "Hey Lionel, love the awesome beard."
Oh, Jeff, man, we haven't seen each other in quite a long time. That's right. You were supposed to come out to some of my events, and you decided not to because you're like busy.
Jeff busy? No way. He just goes on more.
It was the Raptors game last time, actually.
Yeah. He goes on more. He's just at the yoga pants tight store trying more different designs on. That's what he's doing.
That dude is brave. Okay, that dude is brave.
Have you ever worn yoga pants before, though?
I would love it. Okay, I know I would.
No.
You would. It's freedom in pants.
I would be so comfortable. I can only imagine how comfortable I would be, and I would love it. Absolutely love it.
It's like 360 degrees of movement in yoga pants. Just saying.
I can tell you, I appreciate yoga pants. How's that? The guy who invented it was a genius.
There you go. I will say.
Thank you, Lululemon.
Yeah, I will say, Jeff. Just so for anybody context, Jeff owns a pair of like Blood Angel tights, like literally tight yoga pant, Blood Angel prints, and he wears them to every event, and that's like his signature to make people uncomfortable. With yoga pants.
Do they though? Like JT has his. I think JT has Harlequin ones.
Oh, does he too? Didn't he wear them to our like?
He
did. He wear them to the Apocalypse event or whatever?
I think he did. I mean, he usually wears them to tournaments and stuff. And then there's another guy in BC that, like, in the summertime. I can't say in the wintertime because I haven't been to a wintertime event, but he'll wear like a red Speedo and a tank top to like every summertime event. And he's like a firefighter or something, so he's like jacked. And I think it's just like psychological warfare.
You're talking about Dayton.
Yeah.
That's Dayton.
He's fucking jacked.
This is guess what Dayton does for AOS? He was just over in Quebec. I love that guy.
Yeah.
Thank God I didn't know him when I was younger. I don't think I would have survived my youth. That guy's a party machine. And yeah,
that whole like crew from that area, they love to party.
He Speedo. He also wears a onesie. Yeah, with little duckies on it. Dayton is awesome.
Yeah,
ducky onesie. Amazing.
So I went to a 40K tournament out in his neck of the woods, and I was like, that's a red Speedo. That is psychological warfare. Yeah, I was like, that is smart.
So we were in Vegas, and Dayton wears the Speedo.
Yeah.
And then they actually got complaints, so he had to jump in. Yeah, he had to jump into a bathrobe and avoid the building security.
But he's covered. What the hell? What a bunch of party poopers.
We didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal in Vegas, but apparently.
Well, that's
apparently it was.
That's so funny.
Well, you never know. You never know. Jeff says, "Nah, I'm at home right now. No pants." Yeah, well, that makes sense.
No.
Currently going through. Kyle says, "I'm currently building an old Dragon Rider Stormcast list because dragons." And he said effing dragons, but I want to keep the swearing to a minimum so we don't get copyright strikes. But
sorry.
It's all good. The odd one is okay towards like the hour and a half. Like, I think the algorithm only really like checks like the first like 20 minutes or whatever.
Oh man, the latest episode of Be Nice Roll Dice, Val swears so much, but like algorithm hasn't hit me yet, so.
I've been lucky enough to not get hit by stuff like that before, but definitely not something I really had to worry about too much on Twitch.
It sucks.
That is true. But I'm having a lot of fun painting this. Painting this dude. Just getting the skin up and running, and then I'm going to do the wash on the skin, which I believe was Leviathan Purple at the time. But I had two different washes I was using for their skin, so I think I might just re-wash all of them, and then re-dry brush them or re-highlight them to just
Leviathan Purple smelled so bad. Like, do you remember the smell of it?
It smells terrible.
Oh, smell.
Oh yeah, the smell is awful.
Yeah.
I still own a pot, and every time I open it, I'm like, okay, am I ready? Am I ready for this?
It's like pungent.
It definitely smells like rotting, like it's been in there and it's something.
But like, it's also kind of like got this like weird like petroleum undertone to it. It's like.
It's terrible.
It's just
okay,
so bad.
It's probably just not good for you in general to be around. Like, it's probably give you cancer or something. Like, they say non-toxic, but the smell will get you. Blocker Melon, hello, Blocker Melon. What's going on? Are we gonna block you? Aha, no. Those giants are looking really cool.
Why are you like this?
I'm sorry. Okay, they're spicy. Spicy times. I'm just really happy. You know what? I'm just taking out my frustration because I know I'm gonna have to play 150 rounds. I'm sorry, everybody. It's just pre-frustration. Actually,
take it out on us.
I know. My wife and I have been are just about to put in a lease offer on a new place, to like rent it or whatever. Because it's hard to buy a property in Barrie, Ontario, Canada right now.
In Ontario, period.
Yeah. Well, Barrie is like up there with Vancouver to like for real estate. It's kind of ridiculous. Like legit ridiculous. I did not expect it to be this ridiculous until I got into the housing market, and I was like, this is nuts. Anyway, needless to say, wish us luck, everyone. You know, hopefully we need to move out of this place that I'm in right now. So hopefully we get approved.
Is there
stuff
studio space in this new place?
There's a little basement that I'm gonna have to turn into a studio.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not as much room as I have been accustomed to now.
Yeah.
You know, with COVID though, I've only had like a very limited pool of people coming over to the studio because it's literally in my house, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it'll inspire me to find a studio outside of my house, you know, and kind of expand the channel that way. That'd be really fun.
So just to let you know how crazy the market is, I live in a 2-bedroom townhouse. And I bought it in 2015, I believe, for $129,500. And now I could sell this place. I was sort of looking, right, because I wouldn't mind a place with like an actual yard. So I started looking at real estate, and I was like, I could sell my place for $300,000 now. Like, what is going on? This is absolutely insane. But I imagine it's probably pretty similar out there where you are, because I was looking at places to move out there, and there's no way I could afford it. Like, there's just no way I could afford to move out there.
Sort of ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
And I was looking at Welland.
I mean, it's like absolutely
because I was like, Welland is a butthole of a town, right? Like, nothing's going on in Welland. Like, it's got to be cheap to buy out. No, it's not cheap to buy out in Welland. Like, what
Everyone's
is going
spilled
on?
over. Well, I can tell you what's going on. A friggin' semi in my neighborhood goes for $1.4 million.
That's crazy.
What?
Yeah. It's insanity. That's like attached on one side, 1,500 square feet maybe. It's insanity. Yeah, I don't know how anyone can afford to live in their own house. Like, it's just.
But like, how could you even rent a place? Like, how much would your monthly payments be on a place like that?
Yeah.
A lot.
It's crazy.
We actually couldn't afford to rent, so we had to buy, and we bought it like just the right time, because everything just went
through the roof.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Absolutely
Yeah,
crazy.
we lived in like a closet for like 4 years while we saved money to buy a house. We lived in like 500 square feet. It was
Elon Musk
stupid.
says Alexander. Hi, by the way, Alex. Says
Hey, Alex.
Elon Musk bought Twitter. He'd make more money if he invested in a house in Toronto.
God.
Yeah, the Toronto market's pretty nuts. Anyway, but yeah, that's kind of like, the state of affairs on this side of the pond. So that's kind of why I guess that's my biggest stressor right now, I would say, is probably just the process of us having to find a place to live and trying to figure out, like, make sure everything's kosher and doing all that stuff and finding something that works because, got a kid and, where's the school and like all this stuff. And if there's one thing I remember growing up, it was I bounced around a lot when I was a kid. I moved a lot, like a lot. And I would love for my kid to have like a group of friends that he kind of like knows for like most of his life, or like people who he can like have ties to from back in elementary school. I always thought that was like the coolest thing. Yeah, it's got its ups and downs. Sure, I'm sure, with like how people develop over time. Like it's probably not all like roses and flowers or whatever. But at the same time, I literally connect with 3 people that I've known over the course of my life, but that's only because Facebook exists, right?
I only connect with like one person from my childhood.
Yeah.
And he's in London right now because he's a music producer. Nice. So I only get to see him like in person like once every 5 years or something. So.
Jeff says, house down the street from me. He lives on near Richmond Hill. Oh, is that around where Jeff lives? Says, the house down from me is 2,400 square feet. It's renting for $4,000 a month, which in American money is like $100.
But yeah, we're talking a little over $3,000 in American dollars.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Well, Lionel, we're coming up to the end of the show today.
What?
I know it's crazy how fast time flies when you just sit and chat and having some fun. So, is there a project that you're really proud of that you painted and finished? Like, out of all the ones that you've done over your many years, is there one that stands out as like the one that you can look back and go, this is like the coolest thing I've done?
The coolest thing I've done? Wow.
Yeah. I know we're getting into the tough questions at the end here.
I'll tell you what. I am sentimental toward my Gloomspite Gits army, even though they suck, and they do suck like a lot. I have 150 goblins fully painted, every single eyeball dotted. I painted patterns on hoods. It was not my first AOS army, but it was a Warhammer army that I ported over into AOS, then bought a whole whackload of new models. That's probably the one army I'm most attached to, even though I barely play it. But man, I paint a lot of armies over over the years. Hey, don't sell your stuff because you instantly regret it. As I tell you, man, I've sold some stuff and I was like, why'd I do that?
Yeah.
Why'd I do that?
No, there makes sense. Well, that's awesome. And if there was a painting technique that you've always had issues with, that you kind of like, that you're trying to like improve, what would it be?
Ooh. At my stage in life, I used to, when I was younger, wanted to push the envelope of painting and try to compete painting-wise as well. As I've gotten older, I'm not going to say I don't care at all. I do care, but my care has dropped quite dramatically. I really enjoy painting because of playing. I enjoy playing because of painting. So I guess if I was to pick a technique that I would entertain wanting to maybe push the envelope on, would probably be non-metal metal.
Yeah.
I can't tell you whether I'd have a real hard time with it because honestly, I haven't really pushed myself in that direction yet. But generally speaking, most painting techniques you can pick up and apply. It just takes time. It's more about brush control and how comfortable you are with your brush. I've painted so much over time that generally speaking, I have a easier time picking up most techniques. But that non-metal metal looks like a lot of stages. It's a lot of steps. A lot of steps.
That makes sense. And before we finish up, why don't you tell everybody listening and watching at home or, on their phone, like where they can find you, what, who you are, where you are, and what do you have coming down the pipeline that people should get excited about?
So who are we? We are X Planet Games, also known as 10th Planet Games. My name's Lionel Miranda. I've been doing this for a really, really long time, longer than some, I guess. Where we're located is Dixie and Aimco, or 5170 Dixie Road. We're just south of the 401, north of Eglinton. And we are a store that tries hard. How's that? That's we're not the cheapest. We're not the best. We are a store that tries hard. And then occasionally we peak and we hit and achieve something cool and magical, I guess.
Yeah, nice. And what's the latest project coming down the pipeline that people... Because I know you've been doing like a Crusade campaign, like a Crusade
We've been doing a
40K
Crusade in the shop right now. And that's been a lot of fun. We've been doing it across the map. It's kind of revitalized my energy for 40K. Because a lot of the guys aren't playing super, crazy lists or anything like that. I'm playing Death Guard and having a blast playing that. We've been doing, before that, we did some fantasy AOS stuff. We currently have the 40K event happening this coming weekend. We have another fantasy tournament happening on May 7th. We're doing qualifiers for the fantasy one. We're busting out fancy trophies for the top 16 players coming out, which is cool. I love that type of stuff. Love competitive play. Love the people that play it. What else? I'm one of two people that... Actually, one of two. That's actually not even accurate. I'm one of many people that help run TGX. Ridvin has been part of it for a while. Simon has been part of it for a long while. Hoping to do that again. Schedule's allowing. Hopefully all the guys can come together for that. Again, that's more of a community thing that happens. So yeah, we'll be doing tournaments. We do regular tournaments. We're about to do a Song of Ice and Fire tournament. We're actually pushing into other games outside of GW. Trying to get that community fired up as well. Great game. Hopefully we'll do Star Wars Legion in not too distant future. And there you go.
I love it, Lionel. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, buddy. Your Facebook. Yeah,
Facebook,
I'll put all the links.
Instagram.
I'll put the links to Facebook and the Instagram in the comments, so make sure you check the pinned comment for that as well. And yeah, it's been really, really fun. You can also check out a couple battle reports Lionel and I have played, and they're an absolute hoot and a blast and laughing all the way long. They're really, really fun. So if you haven't checked those out, make sure you do too. But Lionel,
I like that you sass Riz the entire time. Like whenever I see her on a battle report, I'm like, yes, sass.
I am a notorious trash talker. I only trash talk the people I love the most, and I love Ridvin quite a bit. So
well, I get a lot of trash talk. Let's just say that.
Get a lot of trash talk.
Yeah, we'll have to settle that later, Lionel. But thanks for coming on, Lionel. You're welcome anytime. This is really fun. Tanya.
Awesome. Thank you very much for having me. Pleasure meeting you, Tanya.
Nice meeting you as well.
Tanya, before we finish up, why don't you tell us a little about who you are, where people can find you as well?
Well, I'm Tanya, and I make YouTube videos, and I also started live streaming on YouTube on Mondays, so if you'd like to see what I'm painting, you can actually see what I'm painting. And yes, you can find me on YouTube. I do daily updates to Instagram, and you can also find me on Patreon if you feel so inclined. And Forge the Narrative podcast, where we don't really talk narrative.
No, all competitive all the time. They're hard-nosed competitors. They're like, we're gonna crush everybody's souls. Love you.
Love you, Paul. Love you, Adam. Paul.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Red's like, I'm playing Gaunt's Ghosts competitively.
Yeah. And I'm gonna shoot the grenade 1,000,000 times. Anyway, I've been Skari. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody, to today's 8th episode of Just Put Paint on It for Season 3. We'll be back next week with more awesome hobby and variety show. Make sure that you check the links down below and in the description. Like, share, subscribe. If you'd like to support the channel, head on over to Patreon where the links are there as well. Other than that, that's it. Thanks a lot, everybody, for hanging out. You are all awesome, and don't forget to just put paint on it. Or as we say in Spanish, Tanya,
Píntalo!
Use that hashtag on all your social media platforms. Bye, everybody!
Bye-bye.
See ya.